Happy New Year and welcome back to Taking Sides. I'm Cynthia Allen here with Bob Ray Sanders. Bob Ray, it is the new year, it's 2015.
Yes.
And Congress and the Texas Legislature are both going to start new sessions. And so I'd like to hear from you what you think Congress should do, or what you'd like to see both Congress and the Legislature do. And why don't we start with Congress, because they're going to be back in session next week, and then the Legislature will start a week after that.
Well, of course, I'd like to see the Congress work with the President on some of the important items that have been left over from years past, including immigration, number one, in my opinion. But I don't expect to see this Congress do anything. I think we're going from a do-nothing Congress to a do-anything against Obama Congress. And I'm hopeful that they can work together, but I don't expect to see that.
Well, that's awfully negative for a new year, and I have to disagree with you a little bit, because I think that, first of all, Republicans won a pretty astounding victory in the midterm elections, and so they have a lot that they need to do. They've made some campaign promises, and some of those things are going to be things that the president isn't going to like. But the president is charged with working with Congress, just as Congress is charged with working with him. And I think we're going to see some actual progress on issues. I think a lot of the tone has changed, particularly from Mitch McConnell. He has said that Mitch McConnell and John Boehner have both said they're not planning on shutting down the government. They really want to get some things done. And there is some room for agreement. There's bipartisan support for something like the Keystone Pipeline, which, you know, is probably a wash in terms of jobs and economic development.
Right.
But there's agreement on it. There's also agreement for things like eliminating the medical device tax in Obamacare. There's a lot of bipartisan support. Even Elizabeth Warren supports it. So there are things that can be done, and I think the president would have to support that, and probably would.
Well, I mean, I don't know that the president has to support anything that he thinks is really not good for the country as a whole, and that would include the Keystone Pipeline, even though I don't know where he would come down on it, depending on whether or not some of the Democrats get what they want in there, saying that the oil would have to be used here in this country, which would never happen because the oil is going to be exported, and that they have to deal with internal things as opposed to exports. So I don't see the Congress agreeing on a lot of things, and even if they do, I see this president using his veto pen quite a bit.
Well, he probably will, and that will be problematic, and there will be a political price for him to pay there. But what about the Texas Legislature? We've got some interesting stuff happening in the Texas Legislature. We've seen a lot of bills already being introduced or pre-filed. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, and well, I'm going by what the leaders are saying. They're saying that they're going to carry on the fight that they've been carrying on for a while, and that's basically fighting for Texas rights, fighting against the federal government, filing suits against the federal government, including the EPA, and fighting Obama. I mean, I don't see any optimism there from my point of view. I see, leaders who are trying to appeal to a base, and that's all they're trying to appeal to is politics as opposed to governing.
Well, I think a lot of the bills that have been pre-filed are probably going to go nowhere, particularly bills about open carry and all those other sorts of issues. But I would like to see the legislature come together and come up with some solutions on education. I think that there's some possibilities to see that happen.
You haven't been in Texas very long.
That's true. That's true.
That issue has been going on for 35 years,
but
and they haven't dealt with education
at some point,
yet.
Someone's got to deal with it, and I'm confident we've got some new leadership. Rick Perry's out, and Greg Abbott's in, and I'm not willing to say that Greg Abbott is going to be exactly like Perry. I think he's probably coming with some new ideas. We have transportation issues that he has labeled as something that he would like to accomplish. I think the legislature is probably going to follow through with that.
Well, and again, I heard Greg Abbott say that he wants to work with people as opposed to leaving people out and doing things unilaterally. I have hope that he will do that. I don't have faith that he's going to do that because I think he's going to go right back to where we started from.
Well, you sound more hopeful now at the end of our discussion. So we'll see what happens this next session. Thanks for joining us today.
Happy New Year.